No, I insist. Thank you. Well, good morning, good morning, good morning. How is everyone today? Happy Pi Day today. 3/14 is International Pi Day in honor of the mathematical pi equation that begins with 3.14 and then goes on into infinity. This never comes to an end. No two numbers repeating at one single time. So happy Pi Day. And also happy time change day. So always glad to lose that hour. And I always panic because, all my electronic devices change automatically, but then I'm not sure. So I have to leap up and run to the kitchen to check the clock on the stove to make sure it really did change. So got my exercise this morning. So anyways, I want to welcome you to All Souls Unitarian Universalist Church. If this is your first time visiting and you feel like it, please give a shout out in the chat, and one of our welcome team members will greet you privately and make sure you have access to any information you want about All Souls. And we're certainly very delighted that you're here. Just a few announcements to make. First of all, of course, Tuesdays with Nori is every Tuesday at 5:30. The link for that Zoom chat is on our website and in Facebook and in our e-letter. It's just an informal time to gather and check in with one another, see how we're all doing, drink the beverage of your choice. It's always a lot of fun, so I hope you join with me for that. And welcome, is it Sienna? I don't actually have people keep complimenting me on my glasses. They're actually just $1 readers from the dollar store because my regular glasses are getting new prescription lenses put in. So it's not exactly the right vision for me, but I have to have something and it helps a little bit. So welcome everyone, greetings. I'm seeing some new people here. Great, I'm glad I said that right. And Janet, welcome to you as well. So we're so glad you're here. Also a reminder that our stewardship drive is officially over, but it's not too late to pledge. In fact, members of our stewardship team will be reaching out via email or phone to those members who have not yet pledged for the coming year. Pledging is a critical component of determining our budget for the 21-22. That sounds strange to even say year. So thank you again for your generosity in this past year, and thank you in advance for your generosity going forward. The community care team has received word that the place, which focuses on igniting potential in youth to exit homelessness and create self-determined, fulfilled lives, are accepting donations. It used to be called Urban Peak. You might remember it by that name. Anyways, a list of the current needs can be found at their website, which I'm going to see if I can put in the chat right now. And it would be great if we could donate to that cause. There we go. So check that out. The place is for youth experiencing homelessness. Many of them have been kicked out of their homes, or they've run away from dysfunctional and harmful families. So please share that link and go to that website and see how you can help with the place. Thank you so much. Easter is on in person, outdoors. This year on Easter Sunday, which is April 4th, we'll be holding a fun FUUN for Family UU in-person day at Monument Valley Park for the children from 10 to 12 p.m. for some RE fun. We have the large pavilion, and we'll have games, crafts, and Easter egg hunt and prizes. And then following that will be picnic pods and Peeps following our fabulous Zoom Easter cantata. You're invited to join at the Monument Valley Pavilion, bringing food and drinks for those in your pod, so you can eat socially distanced again outside. And we'll have the final voting for the Easter Peeps Diorama contest. That's right, the Easter Peeps Diorama contest is in full swing. Deedly Murray's family won the last time we held this, so I'm hoping that they will come back and be a strong competitor. I've got 4 packages of Peeps, and AB has just posted a Pinterest site where you can get ideas for Peep dioramas. I have zero creativity in this, but I'm determined to do something. So the RSVP, if you go to the news and events and scroll down, you'll find the link to the registration form, and it's just really fun to do. Also, The new pre-K video is up, and AB will post that link as well. There that is. So I'm actually surprised. I posted on Facebook about the Peeps diorama, and I was genuinely astounded that people actually eat them. That would never have occurred to me. But making a diorama out of them sounds fun. So also, this just in, hot off the press, beginning March 19th, we will be holding our second chance auction online. No bidding, just greatly discounted buy it now prices for items that didn't get sold during the original auction. I don't know if we have a link to that auction site yet, but if not, we'll have that in our e-letter. So be looking forward. It'll run for about 3 weeks. If you missed, there it is. Thank you, AB. The charity auctions today, that's the link to go to, but it's not live until I think midnight on March 19th. But be waiting to get some greatly discounted opportunities for service items and events, and it continues to benefit our church. So thank you very much for that. Following the service, we will be randomly assigned into coffee breakout rooms. Just take this time to chat with others in your room, like a virtual fellowship after church. These are random assignments. However, we do have a special room set up for choir and band members. So if you would like to be in that room, just let me know. So for now, let's just take a moment to scroll through the little thumbnails and say hey to people who are here. It's so good to see you all. I'm going to go to gallery view for this. Look at what a bumper crop of people. And isn't it great that, I'll talk about this a little later in the sermon, that we didn't have to worry about shoveling our driveways or putting on our snow boots to get to church. Here we are in our favorite pair of slippers. And we get to be together in this warm, loving environment. It's so good to see you all here. And again, a special welcome to those who are new or visiting. It is fun to be able to visit churches around the world. That's another silver lining of Zoom. So we're glad that you are here with us today. We gather here every week, not because we must, but because we can. We come not in spite of our differences, but to flaunt our diversity. We gather from every socioeconomic stream, race, ethnicity, gender identity, age, ability, height, and find that we're actually stronger and more fabulous when we can bring all of who we are into this Zoom room and be seen and loved for all of who we are. So let's take a moment and breathe in the divinity of this hour brought here to you by you as I ring the bell.
Our chalice lighting comes to us today from the Reverend Peter Friedrichs. Enriched by our differences and joined together in our search for meaning, we covenant with ourselves and each other to seek truth in a spirit of love, to strive for justice, and to serve others with a joyful heart.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Beth Green, Director of Religious Exploration, and I have the story for all ages for us today. We are going to be reading Giraffe Problems by Jory John, illustrated by Lane Smith. Let's take a look. I feel bad about my neck. I do. I can't help it. It's too long, too bendy, too narrow, too dopey, too patterned, too stretchy, too high, too lofty, too necky. Yes, my neck is too necky. Everybody stares at it. This guy, that guy, him, her, them, whatever that is, her again. Yep, I feel bad about my neck. I've tried dressing it up. I've added a scarf, 2 scarves, a bundle of scarves, a mountain of scarves. I've tried bow ties and regular ties, and both. I've tried hiding it away. I've used shrubs. I've hung out in ditches. I've stood behind trees. I've spent time in the river. Other animals have necks that just work. Take a gander at the zebra's neck. Stripes always look good. So classic. Quit staring at me. Or gaze upon this elephant's neck. Strong and powerful, yet graceful. Stop talking about me. Or glimpse this lion whose neck is adorned with a glorious mane of flowing locks. What a sight! How inspiring! Why can't I have a neck like that? Are you always this loud? My mom always said I should be proud of my neck. She said other animals would love to have a neck like this. Yeah, right. No offense, Mom, but nobody wants this neck. It's a neck only a mother could love. It makes me want to hide until the sun sets. Sheesh. Good evening. I've been admiring your neck from afar. Oh, how I wish my neck looked like yours. I'd get so much done in a day. Goodness, I can only imagine all the reaching and grabbing and looking around I do. I'd accomplish many of my goals for sure. Meanwhile, I'm saddled in this little excuse for a neck. Here, watch me try to stretch out. See? That's about as far as it goes. Pathetic, right? Basically useless. You feel bad about your neck too? Yeah. Huh. I'm Cyrus, by the way. I'm Edward. It's lovely to meet you, Cyrus. Can I tell you something, Edward? Of course, Cyrus. There is a hill in the distance, which you can surely see from your great vantage. I've stood on that very hill for 7 straight days now, staring skyward, watching as a single piece of fruit, a lone banana, slowly changed from green to yellow, ripening. I've endured windy nights and unseasonably brisk mornings, with very little sleep as I waited and waited, hoping against hope that the fruit would drop before me so I could sample its sweetness and nourish myself in the process. Yet day after day, I have felt like such a fool as I've stretched my neck towards those greedy branches, only to be limited by my own physical shortcomings. You want a banana from a tree? That's what I said, yes. Plunk. There you go. Oh, you did it. You made it look so easy. Munch, 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 munch. Delectable. So that's what bananas taste like, huh? It was worth the wait. Edward, face it. Your neck is impressive and allows you to do amazing things. For instance, you just solved my week-long banana dilemma in 10 seconds. Well, thank you, Cyrus. I think you have a swell neck too. It's elegant and defined, and it works well with your shell. That means a great deal to me, Edward. Say, Do you like bow ties, Cyrus?
I'm not sure, Edward. I have very little experience with them.
You look wonderful, Cyrus.
As do you, Edward. I feel good about our next, Edward.
Thank you, Cyrus. For once, so do I. Yes, for once, so do I. The end.
Today's reading is My Commitments to Myself by Laura Mancuso. I take care of myself first because I am deserving of exquisite care.
I take care of myself to maintain the capacity to help others.
I move and stretch my body every day.
I spend time in nature, attuning my senses to the earth's wisdom.
I ration my daily exposure to the news. I identify and access credible sources of information. I protect myself from becoming overwhelmed by information about the pandemic.
I pace myself.
I sit with the reality of uncertainty and impermanence and allow it to temper my desire for control.
I listen without judgment to others' reactions, which may be different from mine.
I forgive myself and others when stress brings out our shadow selves.
I feel fear fully when I am fearful.
I experience sadness fully when I am sad.
I allow anger fully when I am angry.
I relish joy fully when I am joyful.
I seek out healthy pleasures and indulge in them without guilt.
I remind myself that feelings are transient states that move through me. They do not last, and they do not define me, nor do my thoughts.
I balance my drive for self-improvement with compassionate acceptance of myself as I am right now.
I initiate contact with loved ones to let them know I hold them in my heart.
I seek out, with increased sensitivity, those who are the most vulnerable.
If possible, I share my resources with those who need help to survive.
When possible, I move away from people, situations, and experiences that do not serve my highest good.
I strengthen my connection to my sources of spiritual strength so that I continue to be replenished.
I acknowledge the nearness of death as a key motivator for living a full life.
I pray for the suffering of all beings to cease.
I grieve my losses and celebrate my successes.
I remain open to new ways of being, surprising sources of joy, and unanticipated discoveries every day.
Oh my God, a Peeps diorama of the moon landing would be awesome, wouldn't it? Yesterday, believe it or not, marks the 1-year anniversary when the Board of Trustees and I made the unbelievable decision to suspend in-person worship. We were following the guidelines sent down from the Unitarian Universalist Association to close in-person services until May, maybe mid-May. On March 27th last year, Colorado Governor Jared Polis issued stay-at-home orders for the state that was initially supposed to be for 2 weeks to flatten the curve, and then was extended to a full month. The next word down the pike from the UUA was to expect services, in-person services, to be closed until September. Then the decision was extended to just plan on meeting virtually until May 2021. And so here we are celebrating, if that's the right word, an entire year of online services, an entire year of online religious exploration, of infinity groups and book clubs and meetings. And today I want to commemorate these unprecedented times by talking about self-care. The theme for this month is actually commitment. But as I thought about that word, I knew I didn't want it to be about commitment to justice, commitment to ending white supremacy, because I talk about those themes a lot. And sometimes we just need to take a break, right? And focus on self-care and commitment to ourselves. And so I decided I want this month to be a spa month, a month of, steaming in a hot springs, and then getting a massage, and then maybe soaking in a mud bath for a while, and then ending it all with a spiritual mani and pedi. A month where we can turn inward to look at how we honor our own dear lives and care for our own tender spirits. And certainly self-care must be at the top of that list. This has been a hard year for all of us, though perhaps in varying degrees. For those who live with others, whether a roommate, a spouse, or a whole family, the isolation may not have been so bad as for those of us who live alone, or those of us who live in assisted care communities where the lockdown meant eating in your room and not having social contact with friends at the community or family members who wanted to visit. Those with school-aged children had to struggle with the issues of online learning that, of course, this is when Ruby's going to bring her squeak toy, that those of us whose children are grown, thankfully, did not have to deal with. Some of us missed the community of singing together, of drumming together with the choir or the drumming circle, although all of us got to enjoy the beauty of the choir singing and the band playing in ways we won't be able to replicate once we get back together in person. Some of us gained a few COVID pounds. Some of us adopted a dog or a cat. All of us are pretty much zoomed out, yet we still gather together each week and at meetings and affinity groups and book clubs. What struggles have you faced this year? Feel free to write a word or two in the chat about the struggles that you had to face this year. When we entered the pandemic and the stay-at-home orders, I was isolated, just me and Ruby with the squeaky toy and my cat Wham. It's difficult to be a minister, just FYI, without a congregation to wade into with open arms. I found this journal entry from April 28, 2020. Feeling so sad tonight, as if this will never end, as if I will never feel a human touch again. That's all. That was the only entry for that day. It's been hard, hasn't it? And I think the first step in self-care in this particular moment is to acknowledge the grief of what was lost this year. Trips planned but not taken, family gatherings canceled, choir practice, birthday parties, going to the gym. What have you lost this year? What plans were put on hold? What opportunities were only there for a moment and will not come back again? I was talking on the phone the other day with a friend who also lives alone, and she's not sure we will ever understand what the loss of touch, of hugging, has done to our psyche. And if we can ever, she's speaking for herself, recover from that loss. That's been a huge loss, hasn't it? The loss of physical touch, particularly if you live alone. So let's honor the losses, Acknowledge the hole left in our hearts. Maybe write them all down and light a candle as you both claim the losses and then let them go. What we've been through, what we're still going through, is actually a big damn deal. And it's okay to be sad about that. And we need to be tender with ourselves. Another part of self-care is to be present in our bodies. It's important to honor our bodies, to move every day, whether that's dancing along with the song on the radio, or doing Zoom yoga with our own Beth Green on Wednesday mornings, going for a walk, or just stretching when we awake. I remember one time I went to wake up my son Sam when he was about, I think 8 or 9. And I'm like, okay, buddy, time to get out of bed. And he's like, just a minute, I got to do my morning stretch. And he stretches out. And he said, you know what my definition of stretching is? I go as far as my body can and then just a little bit further. Isn't that a great definition? Or maybe we honor our bodies by taking a hot bubble bath and taking our book of the moment or podcast with us. Another aspect of self-care is to honor what this journey has been for us, that our unique experience of the stress and uncertainty of the past year is valid and important. As our reading said, I feel fear fully when I'm fearful. I experience sadness fully when I am sad. I allow anger fully when I am angry. I relish joy fully when I am joyful. I seek out healthy pleasures and indulge in them without guilt. I remind myself that feelings are transient states that move through me. They do not last, and they do not define me, nor my thoughts. Journaling is a good way to fully engage with our feelings in a healthy way, or art of some kind, even finger painting what you're feeling. You don't have to be a Van Gogh to do that, or a Wendy Mike, who I'm so excited. I bought one of her pieces at her art show at Cruiser Gallery this past weekend. Seeking help from a therapist to help deal with the feelings of loss or helplessness, anxiety, or depression is another powerful way to honor our feelings. It's important to remember we are in a liminal space, and the word liminal means like boundary, that we're not where we've been and we're not where we're going. We're in this in-between space. Scott Stoner, a family therapist, writes about liminal time on his website, livingcompass.org. He says, author and theologian Richard Rohr defines liminal time in this way. It's when you have left or are about to leave the tried and true, but have not yet been able to replace it with anything else. It's when you are between your old comfort zone and any possible new answer. If you're not trained in how to hold anxiety, how to live with ambiguity, how to entrust and wait, you will run. Anything to flee that terrible cloud of unknowing. He goes on to say that ancient cultures refer to liminal space as crazy time because it is like nothing we have ever experienced before. Think of that space, that time when a flying acrobat has let go of one swinging trapeze and is in midair, anxiously seeking the grasp of another that is swinging their way. That's what we've all been experiencing, isn't it? So feel your feelings. Remember they're transient. And as the poet Rilke said, let everything happen to you, beauty and terror. Just keep going. No feeling is final. Let everything happen to you, beauty and terror. Just keep going. No feeling is final. Self-care requires us to look for joy too, to be curious where we will find beauty in each new day. Maybe we find beauty and experience joy in nature, or in listening to great music, or FaceTiming with a friend. Maybe it's in laughing over dinner with our family. Where do you find joy and beauty in each day? Again, feel free to write that in the chat. Maybe it's in being able to gather together this morning, cozy in our own homes, despite the snow, or from Boulder or other places. Perhaps you forgot about the time change and remember just in time to get online, video off. That's something we couldn't do pre-COVID. And finally, self-care calls us to reflect on what we've learned in this time. How did we become more resilient? Did we realize something profound about our lives we never noticed before in the busyness of our lives? Has our interior life become richer while our exterior life has become more limited? Maybe you're just proud of the fact that you got over your technophobia and here you are on Zoom, something you would have sworn up and down you wouldn't have done a year ago. And you go to classes online too, all these things that you wouldn't have done before. This year has certainly pushed us past our comfort zones. We've had to rethink what it means to live fully. We've adapted in ways we would never have even thought of before March 13th, 2020. So let's celebrate our fabulous, resilient, beautiful selves. We deserve it. And let's take care of ourselves too. And as we grieve our losses and celebrate our successes, let us continue to remain open to new ways of being, surprising sources of joy, and unanticipated discoveries of every day. Let us take good care of ourselves, even as we inch closer and closer to being able to meet in person and hug for reals again. May it be so. Please join me in our sermon response song.
Tis a gift to be simple, tis a gift to be free, tis a gift to come down where we ought to be. And when we find ourselves in the place just right, 'twill be in the valley of love and delight. When true simplicity is gained, to bow and to bend we shan't be ashamed. To turn will be our delight, till by turning we come right. 'Tis a gift to be simple, 'tis a gift to be free, 'tis a gift to come down where we ought to be. And when we find ourselves in the place just right, 'twill be in the valley of love and delight. When true simplicity is gained, to bow and to bend we shan't be ashamed. Turn will be our delight, till by turning we come round right.
A certain day became a presence to me. There it was, comforting me. A sky, air, light, a being. And before it started to descend from the height of noon, it leaned over and struck my shoulder as if with the flat of a sword, granting me honor and a task. The day's blow rang out, metallic. Or it was I, a bell awakened. And what I heard was my whole self saying and singing what it knew. I can. Denise Levinoff. As we receive the offering, we acknowledge with thanksgiving all that we can do and become. Instructions for giving via text, online, or with a check will be in the chat and on the following screen.
And 1, 2. hush now, child, and don't you cry. Your folks might understand you by and by. Just to move on up towards your destination. Though you may find from time to time complications, bite your lip and just take a trip. Though there may be a wet road ahead and you cannot slip, just to move on up. For peace you will find. Into the steeple of beautiful people where there's only one kind. So hush now, child, oh, don't you cry. Your folks might understand you by and by. Keep on wishing. Remember, your dream is your only scheme, so keep on pushing. Take nothing less than the supreme best. Do not obey, you must keep your say, 'cause you can't pass the test. And just to move on up to a greater day. Just a little faith, if you put your mind to it, you can surely do it. Just to move on up, oh, move on up. Oh, child, just move on up. Yeah, move on up. Just to move on up, move on up.
Please join us for our sermon response song. I mean, not sermon response, offertory response. What? Have I not had enough coffee? From you I receive, to you I give, together we share, and from this we live.
And now, as we prepare to extinguish our chalice, and remember that the flame continues in our hearts, holding us all together in community throughout the week, listen to these closing words from Parker Palmer from his book, Let Your Life Speak. Self-care is never a selfish act. It is simply good stewardship of the only gift I have, the gift I was put on earth to offer others. Anytime we can listen to true self and give the care it requires, we do it not only for ourselves, but for the many others whose lives we touch. Please join with me in singing the Extinguishing the Chalice song.
As we leave this place, the chalice dims, but the fire still burns within our hearts. Beyond these doors, now as we leave this place, memories of each and every face carry us into the world, and we will return, for now we know that something greater than any of us alone is part of us as we leave this place.
Thanks to all of you for being with us today. It's a great cozy morning on a snowy day. And thanks especially to those who planned, created, produced, and delivered today's service. Mark and Julie, Sherry, Pam, Beth, Robert, AB, Bill, Kathy, Tom O'Connor, the O'Connor Quintet, myself, Rick, Sharon, and Joe. Thanks to all of you who helped make this such a fabulous service. And once again, we couldn't have done it without everyone here in this room. So thank you so much for being here. In just a few moments, we'll go into breakout rooms. But first, let's enjoy the postlude that Sharon has chosen. Say it with me. I love me. All right, we're going to go into breakout rooms now. If you don't want to go, you can just simply exit the meeting, but I hope you stick around and we'll get to chat with one another. Love you all.